Okay, up on the screen there you can see that I am at the website start.spring.io. If you ever watched any Spring videos on YouTube with Josh Long, I think this is his favorite website in the entire world. This is a utility that we can use to jumpstart the creation of Spring projects. So you can see that it's called Spring Initilizer. They do have a funny spelling of initializer. They've taken that liberty. If you see me repeat it in documentation, the L-I-Z-R, that is how they spell it, so that's how I continue the spelling of it. So on this you can see we do have a number of different options. It's a utility that we can rapidly set up a Spring Boot type project. We do have a choice of using Maven or Gradle. We will be using Maven. And then also language, Java, Kotlin, or Groovy. We will be continuing with Java at this point. Now, you can see there on the Spring Boot section of the screen, you do have several different options. Unless you're doing something really cutting edge, I recommend staying off the snapshot versions. Those are versions that are nightly builds, so you may get unpredictable results, so to speak. And right now you have Spring 2 and then Spring 3. So Spring 3 is what contains Spring Framework 6. That is the version that we will be working with in this course. Spring 2, right now we're at 2.7. That is Spring Framework 5. These will continue on for some time. I expect Spring 5 is going to be around for a good bit of time yet. There's going to be a gradual changeover in the industry to Spring 6, but there's an awful lot of Spring 5 out there, so that will be around for some time and supported for some time from the Pivotal team. So what we are going to do here is start selecting some dependencies. I'm going to come in here and take the M3 version. So M3 means milestone. So right now we're on the third milestone. I'm recording this in the summer of 2022, and the official release is expected at the end of the year. So the milestone version, I think, is going to be pretty stable for our purposes, so it should be good to go with that. I'm going to come down here. This is going to set up the coordinates, and by tradition with Java projects, we do use the reverse domain. So I'm going to do guru.springframework. That is the reverse domain of my website. And here, I'm going to call this Spring 6 Web App. So we're going to be creating a very simple web application. I'm going to change this to, and then we have the description there, and that is the package name. I don't like packages like this, so I'm going to remove the dashes in the package name. I don't think that's a good format. And then here we are going to be using the jar packaging. This is going to give us what's called a fat jar. It'll be all self-contained. Now, because we are using Spring Boot 6, we do need to be on Java 17 or higher. You can use 18, but for any production purposes, I do recommend being on an LTS release, and Java 17 is the LTS release. Now, over on the right-hand side of the screen, we can come in and start adding some dependencies. So clicking on that, you can see here we have developer tools, Project Lombok. For our purposes, we want Spring Web, and we also want to bring in some data dependencies. So I'm coming down here to the SQL tab. I do want Spring Data JPA. That gives us the Java Persistence API and Hibernate. And we also want to bring in the database. So I'm just going to scroll down here again. And we are going to be using the H2 database. So this is an in-memory database. So as we progress forward in the section of the course, we will be using an H2 in-memory database. This is a relational database, but it's written in Java, and it does support JPA. And we will be seeing here, we'll be actually persisting data into a database, but it will only last the lifespan of our application running. So we'll go ahead and select that. And here you do have Explorer, so we can come up here, click on Explorer, and this is the project structure that will be downloaded. You can take a look at the files here, but we're not going to explore that too much. But you can preview the dependencies. So here we brought in Spring Boot Starter JPA and the Spring Boot Starter for web. This brings in the necessary dependencies. And this is the H2 in-memory database that we selected. And then also here, by default, we do get the Spring Boot Starter test. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And I am just going to double check everything. I got everything I would like. So I am going to click on Generate, and you can see in the bottom left-hand side of my screen, it downloaded a zip file. So that zip file is going to be persisted to your default downloads folder. Go find it. What I'm going to do between this video and the next video, I'm going to grab that zip file and extract it into a directory, a working directory that I will open up in my IDE, which is going to be IntelliJ. So get that in a place where you normally do your source development, and we'll continue looking at the generated artifact in the next video.